Welcome to the Do Good X podcast, a sanctuary from the entrepreneurial grind. Hosts Kimberly Danielle and Stephen Lewis, advocates for impactful entrepreneurship, guide you on the path where purpose meets business. Join us to slow down, reconnect, and explore the challenges of under-resourced entrepreneurs, uncovering the unique journey of building businesses that make a difference. Now, your host.
Welcome, everyone, to the Do Good X podcast. My name is Kimberly Danielle, and I am a communication strategist, a community builder, and a coach who comes from generations of faith-driven leaders and entrepreneurs who believe that our purpose should drive us to contribute to the common good. And today, as always, I'm here with my co-host, Stephen, who is making me laugh today before this episode, y'all.
Hey, Kimberly. It's good to be with you. And as you know, I am a catalyst for positive change in communities and business. And for over 2 decades, I have inspired leaders and entrepreneurs to live and work on purpose with intention, faith, and a commitment to their well-being. Today, we are revisiting a thoughtful conversation from season 1 that Kimberly had with Jay Johnson, the founder of College Prep U and the co-founder of Prep Intel. Now, this episode is especially for those of you who are thinking about growth. Not just starting something new, but how to expand without breaking or diminishing what you've already built.
I know I've said this on previous episodes if you've been tuning in with us, but Jay is just such a passionate individual. He comes with so much wisdom, knowledge. It's a really valuable episode that I found in conversation with many insights that I think you might find helpful or inspiring for your journey. This conversation, among many that he has had with us, is really stuck with me. His passion and him talking honestly about what it really takes to launch a second venture was inspiring to me. And also, it was just real. He speaks very plainly about what the journey is like. Things didn't move as fast as he expected, but instead of forcing it, he slowed down. He listened to his team and made the intentional decision to strengthen his first business before stepping away to build the next. So this is really telling of his character and the type of leadership that can create both strong teams and businesses, because oftentimes founders focus on building the business, but not necessarily how they show up as a leader for the team within their business.
Yeah, I really like Jay's energy. And I think, he has smart wits and he has good kind of instinct as it relates to, developing his business. So we talk from time to time on the podcast about scaling, and Jay constantly always reminds us that sustainable growth requires preparation, especially when it comes to leadership, staff, and letting go of control.
So if you are tuning in and you're an entrepreneur who is considering a second venture, or you might just be feeling stretched because everything is dependent upon you. If that's the case, in either one of those situations, this episode really does offer some practical wisdom. Jay breaks down what it takes to prepare your business and yourself for this next chapter. So let's go ahead and get started. What are 1 to 2 tips you would give entrepreneurs who are looking to start a second business because you are a 2-time founder? Those who have a business up and running, what would you say to them? Because I imagine just listening to you and your story, it's a lot.
It's a lot. I think that, one of the biggest challenges that I had when building Prep Intel was that I knew that College Prep you could fund Prep Intel. Like, I literally could have just cut a check to myself. Well, from College Prep U to Prep Intel, no one would have said anything outside of my accountant and my lawyer maybe, and funding it. And what I decided to do was, the way I run College Prep U is nice of a round table, right? All my people that work with me, I don't look at them as just they're not my employees. We're all stakeholders, right? I go get the money. the knowledge or whatever it is, that need to get the company running, and they do a lot of the execution. They do a lot of the community development. So if I'm going to make a move like this, that's going to take my time away. One, I need them to know because their roles and responsibilities are about to increase. And then from a financial side, I need to make sure that it just makes sense, because you can have this great idea and you can jump on it and you think, oh man, my company's good. But if I really truly remove myself from this company, will it fail? Because I'm the heart of it. And so, and then even like just from a leader standpoint, if I remove myself, from the company to pursue this other endeavor, then like, what is that going to do to my staff? Like, what is it going to do to my stakeholders? Like, and not even just the people who work with me, but even the community partners that we have, and as well as the contracts that we have. So I did this presentation to my company, to my staff, and I was like, "Yo, I'm looking to do this new venture." Did a PowerPoint presentation. It was god awful. It was like 20 something slides, which I'll never do again. And did the presentation. Said, "Hey, essentially, I want to know if I can take money out of College Prep Youth to fund this venture that I'm going." And they denied it. They took 2 days, went over, asked they questions they needed, and denied it. It was crazy because I had just hired someone too, and she was like, "Nah." And I was like, and they were nervous, of course, to tell me no, but I created a culture where, it's open, because even though as a leader, you got to be approachable, you got to be able to say, hey, because I'm not a leader because I write the checks. I'm a leader because I build leaders, right? And so in order to teach them, because this may not be their dream job, but they may want to go on and do something different, I want them to be equipped to make tough decisions, or even know when there's risk involved or possibilities for advancement, not to be afraid, but be able to be humble enough to take direction or even rejection from someone that don't matter. I think one of the biggest quotes that I used to live by, that's a huge mistake, was someone told me that millionaires don't take advice from thousandaires, right? And I was like, once I thought about it, I was like, well, why not? Because do they feel like they can't learn anything? And I pride myself on my student mentality. So when I put that presentation to them and they denied it, Kimberly, I was like, whew. And I'm not gonna lie, I was mad. I was upset. But there was like, well, Jay, you laid out that, some of the biggest risk is that, people will fund it and they'll skip steps in tech companies. You don't know that much about tech. So you'll take this money and you've been good. You're a good steward over it, but we just don't want you to be like, well, you know what? I don't have to do that. I can just hire someone else to do it. And you just spin it out there that way. And you don't pay attention to the details. And you built this by bootstrapping. So we know you can do it again. And so, but if we authorize this and it failed, they all stood in one line, shoulder to shoulder. And I was like, which two of us will you fire? Because the money that you're asking for, you got to supplement from somewhere, and salaries is always the biggest expense. So which one of us will you fire if this fails? And I mean, the tears hit me. I was like, ooh, like, wow, none. So I said, all right, cool. I said, well, then this is what I need. I need you guys to really like just lock in, help me out. I'm gonna give myself a year. In this year, I'm gonna teach y'all how to run this business by yourself. You're gonna be self-sustained. I will put a plan in place where I still will deal with the executives. I allow them to reapply to the company, so that way if they wanted to leave, they didn't have to feel like they were quitting. If they wanted to advocate for themselves financially because of the new responsibility, meaning that they want a raise, they can present their case. If they wanted a new title, they can present their case. And so, so we did that. And one of my senior leaders, I was like, yo, I'm finna lean on you heavy, about this. So I'm going to teach you how to go into these meetings with me, dealing with the superintendent, school board, principals, whatever, develop more of a relationship that they already know you, but I need them to see you as a leader, not someone who got to run and tell me. I need them to see you as a person who can make decisions, but just know you can't make decisions if it's going to cost me money when I run it by me, right? Let's be clear. But in this scope of things, I need to grow you. And so I took a year. I took a year to, get them prepared. But in that same year, I started building Prep Intel. So everything I had said previously about how putting everything together, it was all simultaneously. And, ultimately I got so comfortable with not having money for Prep Intel. I was like, I don't need it anymore. And it was crazy because that which was last year was our highest grossing year. And I was not in my business. I wasn't in my business. And so, of course, naturally, I'm like, all right, well, we're going to take on this venture. We revisited 365 days later. I said, well, hey, I got into this accelerator now because now I can draw a clear distinction between Prep Intel and College Prep U. I started applying to accelerators out of state because I didn't want anyone in state to rely on my reputation to accept me. I need someone who didn't know me to accept us. And so wife was on board, the team was on board, co-founders was on board. We had an accelerator, everything laid out, and I had got all the things that I needed for Prep Intel without having to spend any money from College Prep U. And once I got that Techstars investment of like $123,000, well, 120, and then we got an extra $3. I was like, oh, this is all I need right now, to build it out, because that's what I was seeking from College Prep U at that time. And I just didn't skip a beat. And so, yes, I didn't have a product yet. Like, I didn't have my product built out, my platform. But I knew that one of the bigger expenses is when people run to engineering and they don't know how to qualify the engineers, don't know how to do any of these things to make it a good investment. And I knew that once I got into Techstars, that my cohort would have enough engineers. So I then relied on people who I trusted through this system where we was all put together in a cohort to help me and my co-founder find the right engineers. And my co-founder is tech. And that's what we did. And so as of now, last year, College Prep U almost made $1 million a year, which is insane. And Prep Intel did not cost College Prep U anything. So I didn't even have to use any of the money from Prep Intel to pay me or my co-founder. It was all for the company. And so the advice I give is, if someone wants to start a second company, you have to make sure that the foundation that your company is built on, that cement has already dried, and the blueprint, as well as just the framework of the house, you got to adjust. You got to make sure that the adjustment is just, so you got to calculate for the adjustment. Because you know how they say the wood, swell, and stuff like that, the house has to settle. Once the house settle and you've done your due diligence, do not, remove the ability to learn from others. Even if you know everything in that area, you got to be willing to not only take criticism, but also be willing to learn, because sometimes some things just come back at you and you ain't thought about it so long, but it's very easy and elementary that when you see it, you're like, man, and just stick to the foundation. Just stick to the foundation, and then that can help you. But don't surround yourself with people who are your friends and family and think that they're going to be the ones to help you with this venture, or they're going to be the ones these going to be your customers or clients, but you can't rely on them. You'll only get upset with them. Find a different group of individuals who can literally tell you, no, this is stupid. Get mentors, get coaches, seek so much advice before you jump into the second venture. Even if you're successful in your first one, seek so much advice that you are literally tightening your belt like Wile E. Coyote on Looney Tunes, because you're starving. And it's a difference. Like with College Prep U success, I was hungry now. So that means when you're hungry, you can go a couple exits before you find, I want Chick-fil-A, right? But when you're starving, it'll make a vegan eat meat.
Thanks so much, Jay. You have provided some insights and some value to our listeners. Thanks again for joining us. Until next time, be well and do good.
Thank you for listening to the Do Good X podcast. To continue the conversation or access our resources, visit www.dogoodx.org. Join us again for conversations that will nourish your soul, ignite your dreams, and empower you to build an impactful business, one intentional step at a time. Until then, keep striving, thriving, and doing good.